Hello, welcome to the third and final day of the conference, and obviously the best track of the conference so far. So I hope you have a good time. I hope everyone enjoyed the party last night, and there'll be another good one tonight as well. So good to see that everyone's managed to make it up. So I'm Chris Davey. I'm VP and General Manager of API Management here at WSO2, and I'm going to just give you an overview of where we think the API management area is going, what are the current challenges, what do we think we're doing to try and help you guys navigate those today. So, whoops. So things are getting more complex, and the idea is we've got to get this stuff under control. You know, I remember back when I was setting up the first sort of API management capabilities, UK government, you know, we were dealing with a handful of APIs, some very basic services, you know. Now it's a very different beast. So this is a slide that we used in quite a lot of our presentations back in about 2019, 2018, when I first joined WSO2. And back then we were talking about the integration challenge and how that's getting bigger and bigger due to the way technology is going. And, you know, we were talking about the move from your sort of monoliths to disaggregated systems, microservice architectures, cloud services, etc. And that just gives us more services, more endpoints, more APIs, more integrations that companies have to deal with going forward. And it's not stopping. So from an API management perspective, you know, all of the current sort of technology trends, AI, more cloud services, more SaaS services, all require more APIs, more control, more governance, and it's getting more and more complex. So the customers we're talking to today, they don't have 10 or 100 or 400 APIs. They have 1,000, 2,000. Some of them have 10,000 to 20,000. Some are talking about 50,000 APIs. Now, as an architect, you know, 10 years ago, I couldn't comprehend having 50,000 APIs to manage. That would be just crazy, but it's the reality of today. And that's not slowing down. The API management market's growing. There's all sorts of stats around growing 14 to 20% CAGR year on year. So this isn't going away. So what sort of challenges is this explosion giving us and our customers today? So this isn't a comprehensive list of the challenges, but it's sort of looking at where we think the key focus sort of needs to be. So one of the main ones is sort of this API visibility, governance and security across the entire enterprise. Enterprises are getting more complex, and with all these additional APIs, manage them, ensuring you're not doing duplication, ensuring you're getting maximum reuse out of your services and APIs, being efficient, making sure your security posture across them is consistent, that you're not getting siloed observability across your estate. They're all real challenges that enterprises have got to deal with and can lead to a lot of problems, a lot of wasted resource. You know, if you're recreating APIs or services that you already have and you didn't know because you can't find them, you know, easily, then that can lead to a lot of wasted developer resource stuff today and give you a governance and security overhead as well. So the sort of deployment architectures as well are sort of driving a lot of this, you know, where you're getting more fragmented environments and deployments, and this can happen from sort of mergers and acquisitions where you want agile teams. So back when I first put in the API platforms at HMRC, you know, we had a centre of excellence. So we did all the APIs, we did all the integrations, all the other teams just used our services. Fantastic for governance and control, terrible for agility. We became a bottleneck very quickly, and the teams couldn't rely on us to deliver what they needed on time. So then we had to think about how do we get that capability out into the team. So it's not just about having, you know, distributed deployment architectures for your gateways and things. This is about enabling the teams that need to create and manage and build APIs, the ability to do so with the required sort of governance and stuff like that. And organization complexity, a small organization with a small number of APIs and one development team's not a problem. When you get into larger orgs that have different departments, business units, different entities under groups, the challenge of how you can visualize, how you control, how you give access to the services, to the APIs becomes a lot harder. So how can you help manage that across more and more complex organizations as well? And when you look at sort of SaaS adoption, cloud native architectures, hybrid deployments, all of that sort of stuff, it just makes the whole estate far more complex. You've got APIs all over the place, you've got stuff potentially in your data centers, you've got services at the edge, you've got stuff everywhere, and that makes it a little bit harder to get that sort of control and governance. And obviously you've got to start talking about AI because it's everywhere these days, but how do you help not just govern the AI services and LLM usage, but how do you support teams to build effective AI services? How do you quickly make the most of this new technology? How do you use your data, your existing services to innovate and get those sort of productivity gains or new business markets? But with that, there's also sort of new risks and challenges that you've got to be able to mitigate. So how do we prepare for this increasingly API-driven world? We've been API-driven for a while, but it's still growing. And what are the key sort of capabilities that we need to evolve to be able to cope with these challenges? It's not new. A good API strategy is still 100% important. You've got to have that idea of, and a lot of people are doing it more now than they did back in the day, but you've got to take your APIs as part of your business. They're no longer just a technical interface to your services. They're no longer just for developers to use. They are critical, transformative assets that can drive new business models, drive interactions with partners, drive more growth, more innovation. You can have your APIs exposed and have external parties using them to innovate on your services, on your data, and generate more value and revenue for you. So having a key strategy that sort of covers all of those areas, make sure that you're using them, how you're governing them, how you're designing them, how the business is going to understand the value from these is still absolutely critical. So from a capabilities perspective, one of the things that we're sort of focusing on, or the few things we're focusing on, are around that sort of centralized control but decentralized execution. So we want to have the governance, you want to have the visibility, but you don't want to add any constraints to your development teams, to your partners, to your external developers on building services and using your data, etc. So this is governance and visibility for all of your APIs and AI, no matter where they're running. So frictionless API development and consumption. You want, again, it's all about how do people find your APIs, how do they use them, how do they consume them, how do they know how well they're doing. So we're going to talk about sort of observability and sort of business metrics and stuff in there as well, because they're not just technical assets anymore. Flexible deployment and interoperability. How do we fit API management into these complex organizational structures? How do you get the right governance and access control over these federated teams? That's key capabilities you need. And you've heard the terms in sort of AI for code, code for AI, same for APIs. How do we make the products more productive by using AI and embedding AI in the products? But how do we use APIs to make AI development more successful, faster, and drive innovation? So what are we doing to help? So if you've done the tutorials, you might have seen some of these slides, and you'll see a deeper dive later, and I'll go through that in a minute. But our aim from WSO2's perspective is to govern all of your sort of digital assets you produce and consume, whether that be the APIs you create or the APIs that you consume from third parties, from SaaS. We're driving, more and more companies are driving to that composable business where you're pulling in the right services at the right time that you need, you're buying them, you're building them, and you need that flexibility to get visibility across all of those different areas. So from our product perspective, back in March we did a bit of a re-architect of API Manager, and we've launched Bajira, our new SaaS API management built on Choreo, to both drive that fact of you want a single control plane. So the key thing for that, central governance, central visibility, is your control plane needs to have access and visibility of all the APIs across your estate. So obviously we have our own gateways, and we've got our Kubernetes gateway for sort of Kubernetes native deployments. We've got our immutable gateway for sort of highly secure edge cases. We've got our universal gateway, which a lot of you, if you're APAM customers, will know and love. But what we've also added is the sort of federation for third-party gateways. So obviously, using our gateways is great, they're fantastic, they've got lots of good capabilities, but in those complex business architectures, in those M&A situations, you might come across situations where using an AWS gateway or you're inheriting another third-party gateway is essential, but then you get that fragmented architecture, you get that fragmented control plane, and you lose visibility. So we're trying to solve that. So that sort of unified control plane is there to have the federated architecture support any API gateway, give you that consistent visibility across your estate, give you the flexibility to choose. I'd like to say our gateways are always going to be the best choice for you. They might not be. So we want to give our customers the flexibility to choose the right tool for the right job, but still give that sort of governance and control. This helps simplify cloud migrations or modernizations, simplify multi-cloud deployments, all of those sort of things. Gives you that single catalog, maximizing your reuse and discoverability. That's one of the key elements in sort of getting value out of your sort of APIs, is that sort of reuse discoverability. A few years ago, we did the sort of Forrester total economic impact for APIs. Now, the numbers are always a little bit, you're taken with a pinch of salt. But the key driver for those ROIs and stuff they were quoting was if your developers are wasting time building stuff that they don't have to, that's a massive waste of resources. Yeah? And having this sort of federation, this central control plane with the right capabilities enables you to avoid the sort of bottlenecks of a center of excellence. And you can not just federate your gateways, you federate your development teams so that they can access the platform when they need to. So some of the enhancements that are going to be coming to WSO2 API Manager in the next release in Q3. We're going to be extending the AWS support that we have now, AWS and Solace. We're going to be extending that to Kong and Azure API management gateways. So you can then add those to the estate where you can manage and see and control across all of those sort of deployments. At the moment, our federation is designed to allow you to deploy APIs to any of these gateways. We'll be bringing in the capability to discover the existing APIs that are running on those gateways and easily onboard them into that control plane. So you can easily apply your centralized governance, visibility, discoverability, all of that good stuff. And the third-party gateway federation will be coming soon to Bajira in the next few months. Lini and the team are working hard at it. So on the Federation, just as a bit of a pointer, Delaney will be doing a talk at 10 a.m. today in the API management track to do a bit of a deep dive into that. So if you're interested in the Federation stuff, do attend. So on to Bajira. So Bajira was released back in March. You know, AI native, scalable SaaS API management, a drastically enhanced UI. So if you haven't seen it, go and have a look. It's really, really good. We will be bringing that user interface and user experience to the API Manager open source software as well, but that will just take a little bit longer. So some of the things that we're adding to Bajira, the AI Gateway is now available in Bajira, and that's there to help you govern and secure your use of generative AI and applications. It's got abilities to connect to all the LLM providers, give you the access control, give you the model routing, token-based rate limiting, all of those good things you need to be able to sort of govern those AI services are available in the gateway. And talking about the sort of risks that sort of AI can introduce, having the guardrails and this sort of level of control is essential. So, you know, from today we've got support for the AI Gateway and guardrails covering your PI, content safety, adaptive request handling, all available in the Kubernetes Gateway, Universal Gateway, and it's now available in Bajira as well. Bajira also has semantic caching as well to make your use of LLMs more efficient. So what the team have released just last week or the week before, I forget dates, is now the ability to expose your APIs as an MCP server. So as you've probably heard, the drive towards agentic systems and having agents be able to utilize tools and data and systems that you've got is key. You can have them directly interface with individual APIs, and that does work, but it's not efficient, it's not easy to secure, and it causes lots of other issues as well. So MCP is the new protocol. There'll be a deep dive into this later. But that basically enables you to present something that an agent can easily consume and understand how to use your APIs as tools. So what we've got is the ability to take an existing API, transform that into an MCP server, add the necessary metadata to enable agents to consume this, and you can apply all the policies, security, rate limiting as well, and govern those. So that's now available in Bajira. You can manage those servers and policies. We've got discovery built in with the addition of this to the developer portal. So you can have an MCP hub where you can list all of the MCP servers you support. You can see the documents. You can get all the information you need to be able to integrate those MCP servers into your agents. And you can also just bring in remote MCP servers. So this isn't just about taking your APIs and converting and creating an MCP server. It's about if you've got other third-party or external MCP servers that you want to govern, control, have discoverable in the hub, you can bring those all in as well. And Bajira has a dedicated EU deployment region. I know we're in APAC, but this is still important to a lot of companies. So both the control plane and data plane are now 100% hosted in Europe. So that's sort of whistle-stop tour through that, but if you want to dig into the AI Gateway and Bajira, Pubadu and Arshad are giving talks later on. Pubadu's following me, and then we've got Arshad at 11:30 who's going to look into the sort of AI Gateway. If any of those look interesting, sort of do attend. Another thing I want to talk about that hopefully everyone's aware of, and hopefully a lot of you have interacted with them, is we recently acquired Mosif, and it's going to be running as a subsidiary of WSO2. But obviously we're going to utilise MOSIF to deliver a much better, more comprehensive analytics service to our customers than we have for a long time. So we've got the team are doing a lot of work at the moment to integrate MOSIF into our sort of cloud analytics and stuff that's available. We're looking at what else we can do with the platform. But this isn't just your standard AI API observability. It's, it can take you more into that business angle of you can see and easily figure out how well your APIs are doing as a service, as a product, communicate the right data to the right stakeholders. And this is sort of essential to get that transformation I talked about earlier around taking your API from just a technical product that the ops guys want to understand, is the latency okay, how many errors is it doing, and taking it more to, is it delivering the business value and the business goals? Who are my customers? How are they using it? It's a great tool. If you haven't seen a demo, they're out of the oxygen bar, and do go and have a look. So we're really pleased to have the team on board, and we're going to be doing some great stuff with that. And Derek, who's the founder and CEO of MOSIF, will be doing a talk at 2 p.m. today around monetizing APIs effectively. So again, if you're interested, do attend. It will be great. So I'm just going to run through very quickly some additional roadmap items. So I've told you some of the sort of highlights of what's released, but obviously the team's doing a huge amount of work across the space. Some of these stuff are on the road, will be coming soon. Some might be coming a bit later. But I just want to give you a flavour of the sort of things that we're working on and other areas that we're developing in the product. So we've talked a lot about that sort of AI for API management. We're going to do more work around AI-powered SDK generation, AI-generated documentation. We're going to improve our AI testing to handle GraphQL. On the sort of API management for AI side, we've got more enhancements coming to the AI gateway. We've got the better abilities to route across different model providers will be coming, and support for the prompt engineering, prompt templating, decorating policies that are essential as part of those guardrails for your AI gateway. We'll be bringing on board as well. We'll be integrating the new developer portal into API Manager. So if you go to Bajira today, that's the first deployment of our new developer portal, better theming and customization capabilities there, and we'll be looking to integrate that into the on-prem soon in the future. So to handle that issue I talked about earlier around organizational complexity, around handling API access and development across distributed teams within different organizations, sub-organizations. In the last release, we brought some capabilities for org-specific and sub-org-specific management for consumers. So on the sort of portal side, on how to do the consumption from different orgs and the permissions and stuff they have, we'll be bringing that to the production side as well, so for API development and lifecycle management, and organization-specific theming within the development portal as well. So this is all to make sure that no matter what your organization structure is, we've got some capabilities to help. Already in the product, we've got full multi-tenancy if that's the capability you need for your business. We've got full RBAC control across all of the capabilities in the product. This is to take this to the next level and make sure that you've got the most flexibility possible to make sure you've got the right deployment for your business. So you can't forget API security. The guardrails and stuff will help within the AI space, but from an API perspective, obviously, I can't remember if the talk's happened or it's happening today, but there's one around quantum computing and the impact that's going to have. So implementing quantum safe cryptography for keys, tokens is essential. That will be coming in the future. Enhancing access control with deny policy enforcement. Extending the ability to integrate into sort of real-time AI detection services and certificate management as well, as that gets more and more complex. So on the governance side, we've already deployed some great capabilities so that once you've got all your APIs under management in the control plane, how do you know what sort of state they're in? Are they all developed to your right standards? So within both Bajira and API Manager, we've got the ability to develop policies and rule sets that you can apply across your estate. You can then see the dashboards on how well the different APIs are performing against those criteria. Within Bajira, we also have the AI enhanced governance, where you can take any natural language policy document and convert that into a rule set using AI. That would have been very handy when I was the enterprise architect at HML Seegers. I wrote a 120-page integration API blueprint. If I could have pushed a button and converted that into enforcement rules, that would have been very handy. So other stuff in that is expanding on that to handle governance around the applications and the consumption side of the API, enhance the sort of results and explanations and suggestions of what to do if you're not compliant with the rules, what next steps you need to take, and extend that to the other API types like GraphQL, gRPC, etc. We're continuing to evolve on the event-driven streaming APIs. That's gaining more and more traction with a lot of customers. We're doing more work around this, so updating the specification, doing some work around webhook resiliency, more protocol mediation to support the streaming API approach, and improve that sort of consumption and testing capabilities in that space as well. So, whistle stop, there's a lot more there, there's a lot more coming. The idea there is, for those challenges that I presented at the beginning, those tools and capabilities that we're adding, the direction we're taking with the product, are there to try and address these. If you think I've missed anything or you've got any suggestions, always happy to talk. But that's that's the aim for our product roadmap and vision today. So a couple more talks to just highlight that are happening later on today. We've got Vidura talking about enterprise architecture with APIs, and we've got a panel that I am on. I didn't realise I was on until a couple of days ago because I hadn't paid attention, and that's around enterprise modernisation through API management as well at 12. So do come along to those if you're interested. So thank you very much for your attention.